Hey guys, today I want to share with you some of the miracles that Jesus Christ has done in my life. This video is going to be pretty long, so I'm just going to get right into it. So first, I'll talk about my background a little bit before I became a Christian, before I gave my life to Jesus Christ. So growing up, I struggled with these illnesses called ADD, that's attention deficit disorder, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and asthma. Those were the main things that I grew up with that were considered incurable diseases, and I'll talk about that later. But basically, I grew up with these illnesses. They really started to manifest in high school when I was going through some stressful times, especially with school, and then I had like a dysfunctional relationship with my parents. It was very dysfunctional, and I um I even had like extended time on tests, like national standardized tests to get into college. For instance, the SAT and the ACT. For those who don't know, those are tests you take to get into college. So yeah, I even had extra time on those tests and extra time in school. I had a psychologist and psychiatrist during high school, and um, they were helping me, you know, cope with these things by giving me, prescription drugs, like Zoloft, and they wouldn't prescribe me Adderall, but I ended up taking Adderall later on in college, just kind of illegally. But I had some other type of medication for the ADD, but I know they were giving me some antidepressants and stuff like that because the thing is with OCD, sometimes it can cause depression. And I think like my 10th grade year of high school, I was going through some depression. And just from dysfunctional relationship with my parents, and then just a lot of stress from school, a lot of pressure, and I wasn't doing as well as I wanted to, and I was driving like an hour and a half to school, and maybe getting like 6 hours of sleep a night, having like 2 hours of homework every night, and this is after coming home tired from like practice from football or wrestling or something like that. So it was just it was definitely the hardest years of my life in high school, as far as just energy consuming. So yeah, it was a very tough time, and I was just having a hard time coming from public school, where I was the smartest kid in my class, like pretty much from pre-K to eighth grade. I had straight A's, and then I go to private school, which by the way, I wasn't rich. I had a scholarship where my parents only had to pay like 1% of the tuition um, to for me to go there, and so like they were paying like maybe like 1,000 or something out of 20,000 a year for me to go there, and I got a scholarship to go there. So because my family was middle class, like we wouldn't have been able to afford that. But so yeah, making that transition from public to private school was pretty challenging. The work was a lot harder, and yeah. So, and I kind of just wanted to go back to public school because I knew I could, go be valedictorian and get a lot more scholarship money and stuff like that. But long story short, I graduated high school with a 3.3, and I graduated college with a 3.83 in electrical engineering as my major. So that just kind of shows you how much high school was harder for me than college. It was pretty challenging. I feel like college was a breeze because of high school, and just because of like the living conditions I was in, it made it a lot harder to like living pretty far from school and stuff like that, and just not having the right support from my parents, mentally speaking, as far as like they would say like abusive things and stuff like that, and um, sometimes they would do things discipline in ways that you shouldn't discipline your child. But and I wasn't the best kid either. Like they would, I was very eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Okay, you want to disrespect me, I'll disrespect you. Okay, you want to curse me out, I'll curse you out. Things like that. And but yeah, I will always retaliate, which you shouldn't do, of course. But I was just kind of like, well, you treating me this way, so I'm gonna treat you this way back. And yeah, our relationship was very dysfunctional. I think like maybe my last 2 years of high school, and even like my first, up until became a Christian, I didn't talk to my dad for like 4 years, from like 11th grade to like my sophomore year, and I barely talked to my mom. And but yeah, I tried to have the least amount of communication with both of them as possible, because I just didn't want to talk to them, because I just had really um, serious disagreements about how they were raising us, and the unfairness they would show. They would have like favorites and stuff like that. And for example, like I remember one time I asked my dad to, pay for a wrestling camp, you know, can I go to this wrestling camp? He was like, no, you got to work and get a job and pay for the wrestling camp yourself. But then when it came for my brother to do football camp, he paid for his football camps and stuff like that. So, and I just didn't like the way they was raising us. I feel like, I always had to work hard to get what I wanted. And then my brothers would just hand us stuff easily. And, yeah. And, so I really didn't like my brothers. And then me and my sister didn't really have a great relationship either, mainly because we have different dads, and so like I don't know, I guess she always felt like I wasn't really part of the family, like me and my brothers. It was just really just her and her mom and her dad that were the real family, and me and she kind of treated me and my dad and my brothers like strangers, kind of. Didn't really talk to my dad, never called him dad. Didn't talk to me much growing up. Even when she got married, the man she got married to, my brother-in-law, who was pretty much closer to me than my own brothers. We were like brothers pretty much. I had a closer relationship with him than my own sister, so that just shows, how distant we were. So yeah, basically had dysfunctional relationship with my siblings, and I didn't like my siblings because I didn't like how they just got everything, handed to them, where I had to work hard for everything. And sometimes I didn't even get what I needed. Like one time, I was asking my dad for baseball cleats because in my sophomore year, that year I was going through depression. I needed baseball cleats, and he wouldn't buy them. He would just say, "No, I don't have any money." And but of course he had money. He just didn't want to do it for whatever reason. I guess we're having an argument or something about something. And so my baseball coach had went and actually bought me baseball cleats. So this kind of shows, like how my parents were not very financially supportive at times when they needed to be. Like another time, my dad was like, I was asking him, can he come pick me up from school? He was like, well, why you didn't ride home with the people you carpool with? I was like, well, because they left. He was like, well, I can't come get you because I don't have gas. And then he called back and said, okay, I'm on the way. So, he would lie about stuff like that. And my mom would do the same thing. They would tell me to do stuff or not to do stuff that they do. Like, would tell me not to curse, but then they would curse. They were like very hypocritical in their ways and stuff like that. And then, like I said, of course, I didn't respond the right way all the time either. Like, sometimes I would argue back with them and stuff like that. But yeah, I just didn't agree with how they were raising us. I definitely thought that they had favorites, and by the examples I gave you can show, how, they will spoil some of us more than the other and stuff like that. And yeah, so I was just going through a lot in high school, and let me make sure I stay on track. I have a little list here to make sure I stay on track. Hopefully I can get through this whole video in 45 minutes. But yeah, so I was going through a lot, suffering mental illnesses, and yeah, and so like, and then like, I think it was like maybe in middle school when I started experimenting. Well, I started like masturbating and watching porn and stuff like that. I actually found porn on my sister's computer for the first time when I first started masturbating. I wasn't actually looking for it. I was just going to my sister's computer to try to look up like a video game cheat code, and I saw on the drop list like some websites. I was like, wonder what this is, and I looked, and then ever since then, up until of course, up until a certain point, yeah, I was masturbating and watching porn and stuff like that. And then in high school, I started, partying more, and started doing drugs like weed and cough syrup to get high off cough syrup and stuff like that, and partying. Started having sex with girls and stuff like that, and yeah. But in school, I was a good kid. No one would ever know this, but then like outside of school, like I'll be partying and getting high and stuff like that, and hanging with a totally different crowd and stuff like that. I was drug dealing even, to try to get a little money here and there, so I can have gas to drive to parties and stuff like that. So I was doing that in high school as well, and yeah, so that was just kind of my life. That's a typical teenager life, probably in America. You start doing that stuff in high school, all that bad stuff, and but yeah, but in school, I was a good student. Teachers loved me. I was a great student, but kind of like I lived like two different lives at once. But because I always, kept my future in mind. Like I want to get into a good college, so I always took care of my grades and stuff like that. But then also like I wanted to, have fun according to the world standards, and party and have sex with girls and stuff like that. And so yeah, I was doing that stuff, and then trying to make sure I go in order here. So that was high school, and then I get to college. I guess I'll just go right into college. We're 10 minutes in. Okay, yeah, I'll go to college now. So we get to college, and my parents tell me, well, my dad tells me, once I get to college, that's it. He's not going to support me anymore. So yeah, he wasn't financially supporting me anymore in college. So I was basically living off loans and like the little money I make here and there. So I decided, okay, well, if I'm gonna be able to support myself in college, I'm either have to sell drugs or get a job, work 40 hours a week, and then try to do school at the same time. I knew myself. I knew I wasn't the type of person who could like go to school full time and work 40 hours full time. Salute to the people who can do that, but I knew I wasn't that type of person back then, and I wouldn't. I would either have to sacrifice my grades to work 40 hours a week, or vice versa. I would have to have really good grades, but then risk getting fired or whatever, you know, because I'm not working my hours, or maybe just not work as much. So I was like, okay, I'll drug deal. That way I can make the same amount of money as I would with a 40-hour job, making minimum wage. College students, they don't get paid that much, when they're working like a minimum wage job. And so I was like, okay, I'll just drug deal. That way I can have my time, to study, to study for class and stuff like that. And then I'll yeah, and drug deal. So I started drug dealing, and I started doing it more seriously now, because now I'm like taking care of myself. So I started doing it more seriously than I was in high school, and I was selling weed, LSD, mushrooms, acid, Xanax, cough syrup. Basically, like, yeah, all the pretty much psychedelic drugs and weed and stuff like that. And I was selling those, and I was also doing those. But so yeah, I was selling drugs to support myself, experimenting with those drugs. I have a friend named Will. He's actually an atheist, and I'll share more about him later. But he introduced me to LSD and mushrooms, and we would go like on a mountain and have a psychedelic trip together and stuff like that, and hallucinate and stuff like that. So yeah, I was experimenting with that stuff, and also my freshman year in high school, I met this girl, and um, she was like, her parents are from Bangladesh, and but she was born in America, and she was like a Muslim, and like her parents like really strict Muslim, but she was just like, a typical American girl, like wasn't serious about her religion or anything. And so we started dating like freshman year of high school, and we dated for like a year and a half, and we dated for like a year. Then our sophomore year of high school, I'm sorry, college. We dated for a year and a half in college, and then our sophomore year of college, we weren't really dating. We were kind of dating, but we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend officially. But we was doing everything that a dating couple would do. Having sex and stuff like that. And so yeah. And so let me see what else. Make sure I'm going in order. Yeah. So yeah, so that was happening then, and then like my sophomore my so this is about what, 2016, like spring semester 2016, my sophomore year of college. Me and my ex, we were on and off, seeing each other and not seeing each other. And then I didn't see her for like 2 or 3 months. I didn't see her for like 2 or 3 months. And so I was like, and then one time she came by to my dorm, and oh yeah, and also during this time like of like college, like I was kind of like fighting depression and stuff, like my freshman and sophomore year of college, because like I don't know. It was like with the when I because I had OCD. Like sometimes I just get depressed out of nowhere for no reason. Like nothing really bad happened. I was just like not interested in living, and doing the things that I used to like, and nothing really brought satisfaction or joy. Everything, like even sex, like and masturbating. Like sometimes I would just like become numb and like not even interested, and it didn't. I felt like more depressed right after having sex or after doing drugs and stuff like that. So like, oh no, I just feel like nothing in the world was really satisfying me, not even money, because like I had a taste of like what it would be like, to live like in the upper class when I was staying in high school. I mean, when I was in high school, I would stay with friends, and I went to a private school, so there are a lot of rich people there. And since I would live so far, sometimes I got to stay and spend the night with like some of my friends from high school, and they had nice houses, like mansions, and I remember one guy had a had a driveway that was like a quarter mile long, and he even had like his own like house detached from the main house, and it was like a little mini house where we had like a man cave and stuff. And I would spend the night with my friends from high school a lot, and ride around with them, in the nice cars, the Range Rovers and stuff. I remember one guy, he brought his dad's Corvette to school. I mean, yeah, so you can kind of tell like the lifestyle they was living. Like they had nice cars. I would stay with them a lot. Yeah, so I kind of had a taste, of the upper class life, and I enjoyed it while I was there, like doing it. But then, like looking back on it in college, I was like, is this what I'm working hard for? Like I'm doing all this studying stuff just so I can go, live in a mansion and live basically the life that my friends were living in high school. Is this what I'm like putting all this work for? I'm like, well, that it didn't really satisfy me. Even when I was enjoying the good life, the rich life, it wasn't really that satisfying to me. So I was just like, man, what, like, so that's why I was depressed. I was like, even the stuff that people, because most people, they just work hard for two things: sex and money. That's what they live for, is sex and money. And those two things wasn't satisfying me. I was like, so there has to be something more out of life, that can be satisfying. And so, yeah, I was kind of going through on and off, battling depression on my sophomore and freshman year of college. And so fast forwarding back to when my ex, I didn't see her for like 3 months, and then in my spring semester, like around maybe March or April, around this time, she came to my dorm room, and then she told me that she became a Christian. And I was like, okay, cool. I was just like, okay, great, you're a Christian. I mean, I didn't really care. I wasn't really, I was a Christian technically, but all I did was believe in Jesus Christ. I didn't follow the Bible. I just kind of lived my own life. And I just felt like, as long as you're not hurting anybody, do what you want. That was just kind of the philosophy I lived by. So, okay, cool, you're a Christian. I mean, I was still thinking like, like Muslims, Buddhists, no matter what you are, you can still go to heaven, even if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, as long as you're a good person. I was still kind of believing that. But I was like, okay, cool. I mean, you was a Muslim before. I mean, there's not that much of a difference. But she was like, yeah, but no, like, I'm really, like, I'm really like gonna stop like doing the sins I used to do. Like, I'm gonna stop partying and stop drinking and stuff like that. I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. But like nobody's perfect. Like you're gonna mess up, and that was kind of my philosophy. Like, well, if nobody can be perfect, why even try to be a good Christian? Like, why even try to follow all the rules and whatever? If I'm gonna mess up anyway, I just didn't see the point. I might as well just do what I liked, even though what I liked became, unsatisfying at time. Smoking, drinking, having sex with girls, partying and stuff like that. Even though that stuff became unsatisfying, I was just still like, well, I might as well do it. Stuff can't be perfect anyway, so why try to fight it and not do it? But she was telling me, but no, like you can live free from sin, and you can live like Jesus, and like you can do the things that Jesus did. And I was just listening like, what? Like no one ever in my life has ever told me this. And she just became a Christian, and I've been around Christians my whole life, and no one's ever told me this. So I was just like, what are you talking about? And then like growing up, whenever I had like religious questions, like my parents would just send me to my grandma, because they didn't have the answers. They would just send me to my grandma, and my grandma was a Jehovah's Witness. So that kind of shows you, what I grew up kind of believing. I was believing like, but then I didn't really accept being a Jehovah's Witness, because they believe like only 144,000 go to heaven, and I want to go to heaven, and it's billions of people that live. So I'm like, only 144,000. That just didn't sound right to me. So I was like, yeah, something's not right about that. But I did like how, like, they didn't, condone sin. They didn't drink and smoke and stuff like that. So I was leaning toward Jehovah's Witness, but I don't know about the 144,000. That always kind of kept me away from it, because I was like, that doesn't sound right. And also another thing they believe is like people can't do miracles. Miracles ended with when the apostles died. They were the last people that could do miracles, and Christians nowadays can't do miracles. That's another thing they believe. So when she was telling me like, yeah, I can walk on water like Jesus, I can heal the sick like Jesus, I can raise the dead like Jesus, I was like, Like, no, you can't. Like, you don't see nobody in the news talking about they did a miracle today, like they healed someone, like they made the blind see or something like that. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, yeah, no, nobody's perfect, because that's what we grew up. Every Christian pretty much hears that growing up. Like, yeah, nobody's perfect. You're gonna mess up. I was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, but no, like as you spend time with God, He'll make you like Him. Like you don't have to sin. It's a choice. It's not compulsory. And I was thinking, like, so you're saying, like, I can live a life free from sin, like, and I can do the things that Jesus did, like the miracles that He did. And she was like, yeah, you can. And I was like, wow, I was just thinking about it. And then she was like, and then you can like talk to God and He talks to you back. And I was like, really? Like that was something I never was told before. Like I always felt like God was like on this throne and a distant God. And when I prayed, like maybe I don't think He ever heard me because I was, too sinful. So like He was focusing on, the poor people in Africa or something and trying to help them. He didn't have time for my first world problems, and stuff like that. And so I was just thinking well, God doesn't have time for me. Like He has more serious business to take care of rather than me, complaining about my parents or something. But or like, just wanted to get to know Him more. I just felt like, like God was too busy for me, too busy to hear me. But she was saying, no, like God cares about everything that about your life, and He wants to give you His attention, and He wants your attention too. Like all He really wants is to spend time with you. And I was like, and that really like stuck in my head, like, wow, God wants to spend time with me. Like really, me, out of all people, me, And I was like, wow, God really He wants to spend time with me. Like I could just sit down and have a conversation, like a normal person. And she was like, yeah. I was like, wow. I was just thinking about it. And then okay, I'm gonna stop it right here and continue in the next video. Okay, continuing from where I left off. Yeah, she was just telling me that stuff about, how God just wants to spend time with me. So I was thinking about it, and then I was like, wow, well, like it would be nice to live a life, doing miracles and spending time with God and talking to Him and hearing Him talk to you back. That sounds like a lot more exciting life to what I'm living now, where, you know, drugs, money, and sex wasn't really satisfying me anymore. And I was just like I was looking for something more out of life. This sounds pretty interesting, but at the same time, I was like, do I really want to commit myself all the way? And I was like, nah, not really. I don't know. I just kind of hesitated on it for like a week or something and didn't really act on it because I still kind of didn't like, oh, nobody's perfect. No way I can do this, and live free from sin and, stop the stuff that I'm doing. Like, how am I going to stop masturbating? I couldn't stop for like 3 months, and I have to go back, and stuff like that and masturbate again. So then I was thinking about it for like a week. And then one time with my friend Will, who I mentioned earlier, we decided to do an LSD trip in my dorm room. And before this time, we always had good trips, right? Before my ex came and told me about Jesus. We always had good trips and stuff like that. We had a good time. But then this time when we did the LSD trip, it's like he had a bad trip, and like he started like at first he was just like this, and then I was like, you all right, man? You all right, Will? And then he was like, yeah, man, I'm good. And then he just kind of went silent on me. And then he started like doing like this, and then he started like walking towards me, and then he put his hands on me, and he was just smiling like, and like eyes just dilated, like almost all black. And he put his hands on me, and he was just like smiling, like had this creepy smile on his face. And then I was just like, "You all right, man? You good?" And then he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good." And then I tried to like, okay, I was like, okay, get off me, like. And then as I tried to push him away, like he was still pushing into me. So then I pushed him a little harder, and then you could see like his face just got angry, like, but he couldn't talk. He was like mouthing words, like. And then he started like pacing back and forth. Like, well, before he did that, he started like trying to jump and kick me and stuff and started trying to attack me. I was like, whoa, Will, chill. And then he was just getting angry. Like it's like he lost his mind or something. Someone else came and controlled him. And I found out this day, like it was a demon that came and controlled him. And then, because, when you do these type of drugs, you open yourself up to demonic influence to come and control your spirit. So then he was pacing back and forth and in my room, and he was like arguing, like he was arguing with his parents or something. He was like arguing with himself, but then like he was talking to me, but then he was looking over here like there was another person over here and he was arguing with that person. I was just like, hello, Will, are you okay? like it seemed like he was just in another world. And then he started trying to attack me again. So then I was like, okay, this LSD must be really strong if he's flipping out, because he's the guy that introduced me to it, and he's more experienced than me, and he's flipping out. I don't want to flip out too, so I'm gonna call the cops. And because I knew that I wouldn't get arrested, because the first time offense on campus, you get caught with drugs or whatever, you know, if you get like a freebie, you don't they don't arrest you or anything. But so I was like, okay, I'm gonna call the cops. They'll take him to the ambulance and let him detox or whatever. And so like I kind of trapped him in my bathroom, and then just waited for the cops to come. I had called them and stuff, and while I'm calling them, like the numbers, it was like a horror film or something. It was like I was trying to talk to them, and it sounded like it was going in and out, and I was like, hello, 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 and then like the numbers were disappearing on my phone, so I couldn't really see what I was typing, because I was still under the influence of LSD. And then I was just like, man, like I just ended up hanging up because I stopped hearing them. Like I couldn't hear them anymore. I don't know if they stopped talking or I was just hallucinating or what. So I just hung up. I was like, man, I hope they're on the way, because I don't want to end up, fighting this guy or like end up losing my mind like him. And I just kind of want to, chill and relax. And he was kind of about to ruin the trip for me. And I was just like, okay. So I just sat here and I just waited. I was just talking to Will, like, hey, Will, you good, man? And he just wasn't talking. He was trying to talk. He was like, Joseph, Joseph, let me out, let me out. He was like kind of mumbling words, but like he was trying to say like, Joseph, let me out, like let him out the bathroom. But like I could tell like it still wasn't him. So the cops finally showed up, and then the cops and then he came out the bathroom, and then all of a sudden he was just normal and he was talking. He was like, Joseph, what's going on? I was like, hey, Will, you good, man? He was like, yeah, man, I'm good. I'm like, the cops are coming to come. I was saying the cops are going to come help you. And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. Then all of a sudden he just went back into like, possessed mode and started like charging towards me. Then the cops had to restrain him and, put him down and sit him down in the seat. And then, and I was like, don't hurt him. He's just having a bad trip and stuff. And they was like, yeah, we know we're not going to hurt him and stuff. And then, they start telling him like, they start telling like, yeah, we're going to take him with us. And then he was like, no, I'm gonna die. And they was like, no, you're not gonna die. But he was thinking like in his mind that he was gonna die or something like that. I was like, oh man, no. I was like, no, man, they're not gonna kill you. Like they're just gonna take you to the hospital so you can detox. And then but yeah, I was just telling them what happened. And then meanwhile, like I got like a pound of weed under my bed, and I got like 100 tabs of LSD in my fridge. And we were smoking that night and doing LSD. And so like in my bathroom, I had a volcano vaporizer. For those of you who are listeners that currently smoke and like are real smokers, like you probably know what this is. It's like a $300 device that you use to vaporize weed and smoke it. It's like the healthiest way to smoke weed or something like that. I was very into like hippie stuff like that back then. So yeah, I bought that, and then that was just sitting in my bathroom like the whole time the cops were there. And I had a pound of weed on my bed. I had like mason jars of mushrooms just like under my bed. I had a lot of drugs in my room, and they were just in there, and then like the cops were just asking me all these questions like, is there any other drugs here? And they were just interrogating me. I was just like, and then I'm seeing in the cops eye, the weird thing is like the eyes of the cops didn't look right. I can tell like they weren't really focused on helping my friend. They were more focused on trying to get me to like give them more drugs or get me into more trouble. And because I can see in their eyes, like I can see the demons in their eyes. Like I could see like their eyes were like it was two eyes and one eye or something, like their eyes were dilated, and then it was like one eye and it seemed like another eye was moving on top of it. It was weird, but I can see like the demons trying to influence them to get me into more trouble. And I just kind of switched the focus to my friend Will. I was like, look, my friend Will is he needs help over here. You guys sitting here interrogating me. Can y'all help my friend, please? And then they kind of backed up. Okay, we'll help him, because I guess it kind of felt like bad that they were more interested in arresting me or getting me in trouble rather than actually helping someone who needs help. And so then but then he was like, are you sure there's not any no drugs in here? Because I'll bring the dogs. And I was like, okay, you know what? I kind of lied to them. I was like, okay, you know what? Here, I'll give you the rest of my LSD. And then I went into the fridge and I gave him that. And I was like, that's it. And then he believed me. And so like they left. And then I still had like a pound of weed under my bed and all the mushroom stuff under my bed. And then the volcano vaporizer was just, and then I had like the towel down. I had the towel down on the door, like in the bathroom. Like I had the towel down to try to keep the smoke in and stuff like that. from escaping out of my bathroom. I had the towel right down by the door, and they didn't see any of that. They just kind of they just kind of took the LSD and left. And then so that whole night, I just laid on my bed and I tried to go to sleep, but I couldn't because like I was still just sitting there shaking, like because like the anxiety, and I was just sitting there trying to chill and listen to music, and then like I was ready for the high to go down. So I just sat, I just laid there like the whole night. And then like I was very paranoid. So I was like, man, what if the cops come out with the dog? So I took all my drugs and like shoved them in my trunk in my car and stuff just in case they came back with the dog. And I just laid there on my bed, not doing anything, trying to listen to music, but like just worrying, like, man, I wonder if Will's all right. I wonder if they come out with the dogs. Like, man, like what happened? Like, why did Will have a bad trip and stuff? And I was just kind of anxious. And then all of a sudden I just heard a knock on my door, and I was like, that's probably Will. So then I went and answered it, and then it was Will and his dad. And then guess what Will says when he sees me? Hey, Joseph, what happened? And I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, do you not remember anything that happened? And then I was like, Will, are you okay? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, man, I'm good. And I was like, who's your best friend? He was like, Joseph. I was like, good, good. And then I explained to his dad, like, he was trying to attack me. He was having a bad trip. So that's kind of why I asked him that. And then I was just explaining to his dad he had a bad trip. So I called the cops before things got out of hand so he can go and detox. And I just told his dad, I'm sorry. He was like, well, thank you. I'm glad I thank you for doing that. And then Will was like, man, I don't remember any of that, man. I was like, okay, we'll talk about it later. And to this day, he still doesn't remember anything that happened that night. All he remembers is like, waking up in the hospital. He said we were smoking weed and then he woke up in the hospital. But like in between there, like, and then the story he came back to tell me does not line up with reality at all. Like what he remembered was something completely different that didn't happen at all. Um, but yeah, so like but yeah, so that happened, and then I was like, okay, something weird is happening. Like, why did this trip happen after she came and told me about Jesus and stuff? And so then like I was on housing probation. That means that if I got caught with drugs again, I would get kicked off campus housing, as well as there could have been more punishment as well. So I was like, okay, I gotta lay low for a while. Like I can't sell drugs for a while. And just because the cops had just called me, so I was telling all my customers like, hey, I gotta lay low for a while. I can't sell drugs right now. And but then I was worried, and I was like, man, I can't sell drugs, so like how I'm gonna make money to support myself, to pay my phone bill and stuff like that, the bills I had, and food and stuff like that, because sometimes the cafeteria wasn't open, I'd be hungry, so I have to go buy some food or something like that. But I was just like, man, how I'm gonna support myself, how I'm gonna take care of myself and stuff like that. Cause my parents weren't really helping. My mom would maybe give me like $50 a month, every now and then. But we all know that like $50 a month that barely covers the phone bill, so it wasn't really much. So I was like, man, how am I gonna support myself? And then I was like, hold on, let me think for a second. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna support. So I just really started getting and anxious and like worried and stuff. Like my symptoms start really kicking in. Oh, that was one thing I forgot to mention. Like I had OCD and like ADD so bad in high school. Like the OCD was so bad. Like I picked out like all of my eyelashes in the bottom back in high school, and then like I would like pick at my skin. You can still see scars. I can't show them right now, but you can still see scars like on my leg and stuff. Maybe later on I'll modify this video and I'll show pictures of like some of the scars I had. And but yeah, I used to like pick at my skin. I was a germaphobe. Like I had to take a shower every day. I was always washing my hands, always using hand sanitizer. I was really didn't want to get sick and stuff like that. I was extreme germaphobe. I had routines and rituals and stuff like that. Even in my college essay, I even mentioned like some of the OCD symptoms I had and the routines I would go through as I got home. I would put my bag in a certain place, in a certain position, and I could tell if anything on my desk had been moved, even just the slightest. And I was also talking about some other stuff in my essay, and it helped me get into a lot of good schools. Um, but yeah, so what was I saying? So. Uh, yeah, my OCD really started kicking in. The ADHD was really kicking in and stuff like that. And I was like getting really anxious. I was trying to smoke weed, but then I wasn't getting high anymore, and stuff like that. I was trying to smoke and wasn't getting high. I would take Adderall right before I went to class, and then I still couldn't focus right right in class. I was like, why isn't the Adderall working? Why isn't the weed working? Like I feel like I was kind of just like almost losing my mind, kind of, and then every now and then I would think about what my ex had told me about Jesus, but then I was like still looking, for solutions that man provides, scientific solutions. So so I tried to go to a psychologist and get more prescription, get maybe something stronger than Adderall or something. And then the psychiatrist was telling me like I need health insurance, and I didn't have health insurance. My parents weren't providing health insurance for me, and the health insurance I was on, it ran out when I was 18. So I didn't have health insurance. So I would have to pay out of pocket for. I was like, man, I don't want to pay out of pocket for this stuff, and have to pay monthly. I don't even have a job, and I just stopped selling drugs because I almost got caught with all those drugs, and I'm on housing probation now. So I'm just thinking like, oh, okay, so like, what am I gonna do now? And then one thing I asked the psychologist was like, is there any cure for these diseases? Like, I don't want to be taking medication my whole life. I don't want to be going through these cycles of depression and stuff like that my whole life. Is there any cure for it? She's like, no, like you're either born with it, but you can cope with the diseases, but there's no cure. That's what she told me. So I was like, man, like this is terrible. Like this is miserable news. I don't want to be struggling with these things my whole life. Like, yeah, I was born with it, but I don't want to keep having it. Like, there has to be a solution. And I don't want to keep taking Adderall. I don't want to keep smoking weed to have a peace of mind. So I want to just be free from it. And so then I was talking. So I was thinking like, man, like, okay, I've tried every solution that man has to offer. Now my last resort is God. See if He can heal me and give me a peace of mind and free me from these illnesses and stuff. So then one day I was after just thinking about all that's happened, like in the past few months, where my ex was telling me about Jesus, and then the bad trip with Will, and now I can't sell drugs anymore, so I'm gonna support myself. I'm stressing out over that, and I'm just like, man, like, like what I'm gonna do, like. And then my Adderall wasn't working, so I couldn't focus in class. I was getting like F. I got like an F in linear algebra, like on the test, and math was like one of my strongest subjects and stuff like that. I was like, man, like, I was just in a really dark place. And so I was thinking like, like I need a solution, and God's my last resort. So now I was just laying in my dorm room. By the way, I didn't like grow up going to church or anything like that. Like, we were Christians, but like my parents didn't take us to church regularly. We didn't grow up going to church or anything like that. So I was just laying in my dorm room. I wasn't, regularly attending church or anything like that. And then I was just reading my Bible, and then it said, love your enemies. I just kind of flipped to a Bible verse, and it said, love your enemies. And that's what Jesus said, love your enemies. And I knew in my heart, like, I didn't love my enemies. Like, I loved those who loved me, and I hated those that hated me. I was very Old Testament. And I just thought about, the people who I didn't love, like my dad, and some people who owed me money and stuff like that, and like those people. And but mainly I was thinking probably about my dad, and like, because I know I really hated him. And so then I was just laying on my bed, and I was just like, I just kind of felt convicted, like, like I just couldn't take it anymore. Like, yeah, like I'm very sinful and I need to change. I just like, man, like this is bad. And maybe now I'm suffering all this because, of all the bad stuff I've done. And I ignored, when my ex told me about Jesus, I kind of ignored it for like a week or two. And so I was now suffering the consequence. That's kind of what it felt like. And then like, I just feel like, I tried to just lay down and meditate. And like, usually I could be able to meditate and, focus on my breathing and my mind just goes sound. But like, the more I tried to make my mind sound, the more the thoughts just kept bouncing off my head. And then it got to this point, like after I read that Bible verse, I was just like, I tried to meditate a little bit, and then like, it just felt like I was literally about to lose my mind. Like I couldn't control my thoughts. Like the more I tried to control them, the more out of control they got. So I was just like, okay, I just started talking to God, and I was like, God, I know my psychologist said that there's no cure for these diseases, but I told God, if you heal me, I'll do my best to live like Jesus. Because now I had this new news that I can actually live like Jesus. I was like, okay, I'll give it my best shot and try to live like Jesus. I may fail, but I'll try. I wasn't really thinking I could do it. I really was just using God. Like, look, God, you're my last resort. Nothing else working. So I need to use you so that I can be healed. And, you know, I'll try to live like Jesus, but I didn't really believe I could. But I would definitely give it my best shot. I was honest about that. But um, so then I was talking to God on my bed, about to lose my mind. And then, like, after I said this message to God, nothing happened. I was just laying on my bed. I still felt depressed, felt like I was about to lose my mind, still felt lonely and like alone and just in this really dark place. I felt like God didn't even hear me. I didn't hear any response. He didn't talk to me. Nothing happened, when I said God. But then, like, I just felt this desperation, in me. And I felt like I really was about to lose my mind. So I just, out of nowhere, I don't know why I just said, Jesus, please. And then as soon as I said Jesus, it's like something happened. And then, like, I felt like this warm, tingly feeling in my heart, and it radiated through my whole body. And I couldn't really feel my body. I felt like, like I was in space floating or something, because it felt like zero gravity. And I felt like I could just float off my bed into heaven. And immediately as I said Jesus, some other things happened. And I'm just going to list them out. But just know that these things are happening at the same time. I just kind of got to say them one at a time. So I'm feeling this radiated feeling go through my body. My mind instantly went, sound. It was just at peace, no thoughts. It was just like in this peaceful state. And I was just like, whoa, like what's happening, And then all of a sudden I felt high, but not like a high in the flesh or in the mind. It felt like it was coming from my soul, from my spirit. And I felt the spiritual high, and it felt so pure and so right and so holy. It didn't feel like getting high off of weed or LSD. It felt like a different kind of high. Like I was in the presence of God, and I was experiencing his glory, and his glory just made you feel this type of high, you know? And that's actually what was happening, because at the same time I felt like two people were in one body when this happened. I felt like me and God had became one, and we did. And I felt like, as I moved, he moved. As I thought, he thought. And we were just in this perfect synchronization. And I just felt one with God, and I could feel God inside of me. I could feel Jesus Christ inside of me. And his spirit became one with my spirit. And I was just having this encounter with Jesus Christ, and I knew it was another person there inside of me. Like if he felt more real than me talking to a person, in the physical. Like, so let's say I'm talking to some person standing next to me. He felt more real than the person standing next to me. So that's how I know, like I didn't see him, but I just knew he was right there inside of me, and we was having an experience together, like an encounter. I was meeting him for the first time, really. And at the same time, I just, through this experience, through this feeling, God was saying to me, it's okay. I understand why you made every decision that you ever made in your life, and I understand why you did it, and it's okay. I love you. I'm here for you. Um, I'm here for you, And I just felt like for the first time in my life, I felt truly loved. Like it was a love that I didn't even know existed. And I just felt like this pure, holy love, like this unconditional love. And I was just feeling this high, and I just feeling the power of God go through my body. And like I said, my mind was sound. And okay, I got 50. Okay. I'm sorry, I was noticing the time. But yeah, my mind was sound. I had a sound mind, and then like all this is happening at once, and I'm just like, what is happening? Like, why do I feel high right now? No one ever told me in my life I can get high with God. Like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like two people in one body? And then like, I was just like, kind of like, wow, like in awe, like what's going on. I just laid on my bed for like 15 minutes while this is going on, and I just kind of focused on the feeling and like what God was saying to me, and I just felt this oneness with Him, and He was really just fellowshipping with me in a way that I can't really describe in words. Like we weren't doing much. We were just laying there, but like we were having a great time. We were having a great time, and like so much was happening in the spirit realm that it's kind of hard to express in words, but I'm trying to. But yeah, we were just having a good time together right there. And I noticed one thing I noticed that's really important, that none of that experience happened. I didn't get healed. I didn't feel the sound. I didn't have a sound mind. The depression didn't go away until I said Jesus. When I said Jesus, that's when God responded to me, and I started having this encounter with Him. But before, I was just saying God, and then God spoke to me, and He was showing me that Jesus is the one and only true God. And he was showing me that because he wasn't responding to me when I was just saying God. But then when I said Jesus, that's when the miracle happened. That's when I became healed. That's when I became one with him. So yeah, that's when I became one with him when I said Jesus. And God was showing me like he's the only true God. Now I really understood that Bible verse that says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. And that was really true. I couldn't have access to God unless I went through his son, Jesus Christ, who is also God. And and so yeah, once I said Jesus, this whole experience just started happening. And then I was just like, wow. And the feeling that I felt when I felt his love inside of me, it felt so good. Like it was the best pleasure I've ever felt in my life. Like it felt better than sex. It felt better than an orgasm. Like his love was so pure and so holy, and it was so pleasing. Like I really understood the Bible verse when it says, taste and see that the Lord is good. And it was good because like it was like a feeling that I never knew existed. And it was beyond the flesh. It wasn't like a fleshly feeling. Yes, my flesh was feeling it, but I felt it more in my spirit. And it was like this pure, holy, righteous love. And I just didn't want it to end, honestly. It was making me high spiritually. And I just felt whole for the first time. I felt whole. And I just felt like his love really satisfied me. The satisfaction I was looking for in drugs or money or women. A lot of people look for their other half, in a wife or something. I felt like I found my other half that day, and it's Jesus Christ, because I just felt so whole, so complete. I felt like I didn't need a woman to complete me or make me whole or anything like that. I didn't need anything else to make me whole except him. And God was just revealing this to me this day. And I was just like, wow. And so yeah, so fast forward today, it's been almost 5+ years that I've been healed. I haven't taken any prescription drugs. I haven't done any drugs. No more Adderall, no more Zoloft, no more weed or anything. I don't do any of those drugs anymore. I don't do any drugs for those illnesses. I don't struggle with those illnesses anymore. When I was in school, after that, I could focus just fine without medication. No more depression. And I was also free from lust. I was free from, having sex, watching porn, masturbation. It's actually been 5 years, believe it or not. 5 years since I've had sex, since I've masturbated, since I've watched porn, since I've lusted after a woman. It's been almost 5 years. And what else? Yeah, and then my parents started supporting me after I became a Christian. Like they started, I wasn't selling drugs, but they started helping me, pay for my bills and stuff. And I ended up getting a job later, in college. I started working a few jobs here and there, but they were supporting me more now. They was helping me pay when I didn't know what I was going to do after I couldn't stop. After I had to stop selling drugs, and now I can love them without them loving me. I can love my siblings without them loving me. I can pray for them. Back before I would never pray for them or anything when you think about them. And so yeah, my relationship with my siblings and my parents is much better. And also like God blessed me with many job offers when I graduated college. I was always stressing like I don't have any internship experience. I don't have any co-op experience. How am I gonna, get a good job? I was thinking maybe I get 5 or 6 just because I had a high GPA, but God blessed me with 17 job offers. Yes, 17 job offers from big companies like Cisco, Lockheed, United Technologies Corporation, whom I work with today, Harris, Raytheon, a lot of big companies from all over California, Boston. I got job offers all over Florida. And the offers were between like 65K to 80K, and the 80K was in Florida. So that's not 80K in California. There's a big difference. And I was getting offers from like software engineering to electrical engineering to systems engineering, jobs like that, because my major was electrical engineering. And we kind of cover like software some and hardware and networking and systems. We kind of cover a little bit of everything on the engineering side. But yeah, God bless me with all those job offers, but no internship experience, no co-op experience. That's a miracle in itself right there, because everybody knows that it's not easy to get a job without intern or co-op experience. The only experience I had was like tutoring, and like being a research assistant for like a semester or two in my senior year of college, and but no like industry experience whatsoever. So that was just God right there, Jesus Christ, just glorifying himself in my life, just showing that, when you take care of God's business and you submit to him completely, he takes care of you. He takes care of your business. Okay, let me just quickly add that I did have some personal project experience. Like I created an iOS calculator app and learned Python on my own. I did some basic Python projects just to get familiar with the language, but nothing major, nothing that blows off the resume, But yeah, but other than that, no industry experience at all. But okay, I just wanted to mention that now. Back to what I was saying. And I even got an internship offer back in like my junior year in the summer, but I turned it down because God wasn't leading me to take it. It was for Lockheed in Florida, and I didn't want to delay my graduation at all because I would have had to miss taking classes that summer, and that would have delayed my graduation. And so I was just talking to God, and God was leading me to take that internship. So I had to have some faith there. Like I passed up on a good internship experience. They were paying like $22 an hour or something like that, so it was a good pay. But yeah, no internship, no co-op experience, but 17 job offers. And I can say that that wasn't by my qualifications. No, that was just God, glorifying himself in my life. That was divine favor right there. Um, and also, what else has happened since I gave my life to Christ? So yeah, 5 years, no more of those sins I used to do. I'm actually free from sin completely. I don't struggle with any sins or anything like that because just spending time with God. You spend time with God, like my ex said, all he really wants is to spend time with him. You spend time with him, you'll become like him. You become like the people you hang around. So you'll become like Jesus Christ the more time you spend with him, the more time you get to know him. And the more time you get to know him, the more time you get to know yourself. And it just starts with faith, with believing like, yes, I can live like Jesus. I can do the miracles he's done and stuff like that. And so yeah, I've been healed for 5+ years. And every day it's just like a miracle. I'm just like, I can't believe like, wow, it's been 5 years since I've had sex or since I've masturbated. It's been 5 years since I've done this drug or that drug, or it's been 5 years since I've had to take Adderall. Or I mean, it's just every day it's just like, wow, I'm thankful to God, for the miracles he's done in my life, the miraculous healing he has done in my life, and the freedom from sin that he has given me. And so yes, now okay. So I've told you, my experience with God, and now I just want other people to have a similar or the same experience that I have, where they can experience the love of God. They can experience this intimacy with God, where they can have these experiences that feel better than sex, and have these experiences of like feeling high and at peace, and being able to hear God speak to them, and just do everything in their life with God, because God really wants to be a part of every part of our lives. Like no matter how little or how big it is, He wants to be involved in every part of it. And I just want other people to have this intimate relationship with God, and so that's why I'm sharing this, and that's why when I go out to tell people about Jesus, I just want them to have this intimate relationship with God that I have, because Christianity is not about religion. It's not about do's and don'ts. It's about relationship, and that's all God really wants with us, is a relationship. So if you would like to start a relationship with God right now, I can help you do that. There's a Bible verse says in Romans, in the book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 9, it says, if thou would confess with your mouth. So, okay, let me speak in regular English. So if you confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord. So if you speak that Jesus Christ is Lord over your life, and you believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead. So if you believe that Jesus Christ was raised from the dead, you will be saved. So say this with me. Jesus Christ, I accept you as Lord over my life. I believe in my heart that the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God, raised you from the dead. And that's it. Now you're saved. And now you can start a relationship with God. And now it's important for you to get plugged in and connected to a Bible-based church, like my pastor says. Get connected to a church where they're teaching the Word of God. I could tell you a little bit about how I found my church. The experience may be the same for you or it may not be, but the first time I went to the church where my ex was going to, um, the pastor called me up towards the end of service, and I had just met this pastor. I never told him about my experience that I had with God like a few weeks before, where I was feeling high and I was feeling the power of God. I felt like I was about to float in the air and stuff like that. I didn't tell him about any of that, about the warm, tingly feeling that I was feeling all over my body and stuff. I didn't tell him about any of that. And he called me up and he asked me if I was born again, and I was like, yes. And then he said some other things that I can't remember. But then he ended up touching me like with one finger, and he touched me like right on my heart with just one finger. As soon as he did that, it was like, those medical people that be like, psh, clear, psh. And like he did that, and I felt the power of God just go through me. And I felt that warm, tingly feeling. I get that same exact feeling that I felt on my bed where nobody was around and no one knew about it. I felt that same feeling when he touched me. It was just very intense, and it was like a quick pulse of it, and it was so intense that my knees almost felt weak. I almost fell a little bit, but then it kind of went away and kind of lightened up. But then I was just like, wow, like, okay, so yeah, the power of God is in this church. I'm going to stay here. I took that as a sign from God. Like, this is a church that God has called me to, because nobody else knew about that. There's no way he would have known about that experience I just had a few weeks before. And then that same power that I felt a few weeks before, I felt it right here when he touched me with one finger in my heart. So I was just like, yeah, this is a church God has called me to. And even though it's like 45 minutes away, I still drive there to this day, because I know it's a church God has called me to for this season of my life. And that power that went through me was that sign from God showing me. So the same thing may happen for you, it may not, but start looking around for churches to go to, and just make sure they're teaching the word of God, and be praying about it and asking God to lead you to the right church, and he will definitely lead you to the right church. All right, guys, this video as always has already been pretty long, so if you like it, leave a comment, talk about the things that God has done in your life. If this video has blessed you at all, feel free to share in the comments the things that God has done for you after hearing this. And have a blessed day. All right.